Welcome to part 2 of my updated summary and strategy. We're halfway down page 3 of the document, which you'll find within the public document file. One of the suspects claimed they were a former NHS chief executive of Dorset and Hampshire and Isle of Wight in charge of a £700 million budget and 10,000 staff, and the other as a former Dorset police constable. Inquiries later established that they were linked to MI6, Hollywood via James Bond writer Ian Fleming, the energy systems, pharmaceutical industry, and a fraudulent banking system involving JP Morgan, as well as the monarchy, politicians, Russia, and Ukraine. Dorset Police also provided 2 emails to me inadvertently confirming they were allowing the bank to produce the forged bank documents and for them to be used in circulation. Information also suggested that at least one of the shareholders of Exmoor Manor Freehold Limited was related to the second in command of Dorset Police, who happened to be overseeing the economic crime unit of Dorset Police, where I had been reporting the fraud, as well as being the tactical firearms commander for the Metropolitan Police. The shareholder appeared to have paid nothing into Exmoor Manor Freehold Limited at all from the authentic set of accounts that I had acquired. And around this time, my wife and I separated from Exmoor Manor as I started to realise the possible risks involved in remaining due to how serious this matter was becoming. On returning to the property at night to collect items, one of the previous directors appeared to be following us. My emails were being infiltrated and a tracking app was trying to be installed on my phone. All of this was reported to the police. It was becoming clear that something very sinister had been taking place, and I escalated my reports to the Independent Office for Police Conduct and the Serious Fraud Office. Both refused to intervene and insisted Dorset Police still deal, despite there being very clear evidence of serious crime and Dorset Police appearing to be implicated. Despite there being clear evidence of major fraud that they should deal with, the Serious Fraud Office suggested I speak with a panel of solicitors instead. This raised alarm bells, as I knew there was very clearly a crime. I later established that the whole legal system appeared to be compromised by this fraud, with Citizens Advice Bureau, solicitors, barristers and judges being implicated. I now suspect that the police, military, intelligence agencies and legal system was specifically established around this fraud to try and prevent it ever being exposed and to exploit and control the masses, with a huge motive being money, power, nefarious activities with children and the ability to control the population through very sinister means. I escalated the matter to the Home Office, and they too refused to intervene and insisted that the Police and Crime Commissioner's office deal, despite me having made connections to the Dorset Police and Crime Commissioner and Exmoor Manor Freehold Limited through Companies House records. This motivated me to make in-depth inquiries regarding the Companies House records. It became evident from this that it was decades-long international government fraud, and that the government had been involved in forging the Companies House register and incorporation documents to create illegal entity companies that should never have been trading, but continued to do so. Companies House had started in 1844, and there had been deliberately no verification or details on company incorporations, meaning anyone could use false names or addresses to register a company and avoid accountability for any criminal activity or tax evasion, which of course should not be happening. It also became clear that Companies House had been creating duplicate records for individuals, further assisting the ability to avoid accountability and liability and facilitate criminality. The forgery has facilitated the ability for the government and their organisations to defraud the masses through the taxation system, real estate, insurance, pensions, the health services and much more. This fraud is also being has also been facilitating their involvement in all manner of illegal activities and laundering the money through illegal entity company accounts, where forged bank documents can be produced and used to falsify the company's figures and send the real money into offshore accounts where it can be hidden. In fact, the international transaction system, SWIFT, was also an illegal entity started by Swifting Corporations Limited, and Jordans and Sons Limited. Due to the bank's significant involvement, with many of them also being illegal entities, the fraud can falsify inflation and will be worth trillions in criminally obtained money from the masses. As a director for Exmoor Manor Freehold Limited, I refuse to agree to use the forged bank documents to file our company accounts, as it would be a very serious criminal offence. A proposal was made to remove me as a director by one of the named suspects, and I was removed on the 1st of July 2023. The suspect became a new director. The previous acting chairman, who had resigned, was reinstated, and the accounts for the company were filed. Many members of Exmoor Manor Freehold Limited, including some of the leaseholders, have now been linked through Companies House records to the fraud through other affiliated companies. And during my inquiries as a director, almost all refused to confirm or deny any connections to Lloyds Bank. That was through emails. When I started to realise that government organisations were implicated in the fraud, I tried to make contact with various mainstream media companies and news outlets, but was ignored before identifying that they were also linked to the same fraudulent system through Companies House. I turned to people within parliamentary connections and those with large alternate media platforms. They too ignored my request of assistance, and I found that they were linked to the same system of fraud through Companies House and appeared to have been positioned to assist in preventing the fraud being exposed or act as a delay to implement any victimisation against the masses. I later established that most social media and messaging sites and companies were also controlled by this fraud. It was clear that this has been a long-established, sinister plan, but had been expedited since the World Trade Center disaster in 2001. On researching the disaster, it was clear that there was overwhelming evidence showing a connection to the disaster, the fraud and child trafficking, with a likely motive being eventual full digital financial enslavement to facilitate the exploitation of the masses and particularly the children. It also facilitated an attempt to avoid accountability and liability for mass murder and a possible near extinction level event. Evidence shows that members of Exmoor Manor Freehold Limited were significantly linked to the research of the disaster, as well as a special advisor for the last few UK Prime Ministers, who, according to research, had started fever sex parties in 1998 or around that time, been arrested for threats to kill, and practiced the dark arts. Information shows that King Charles is significantly implicated, as well as other members of the royal family, in this conspiracy against the masses, with the information that he started the World Economic Forum in 1971, along with Putin, Klaus Schwab and others, fronted the climate change agenda leading to the technological and digital currency control that we are now seeing, was the Prince of Wales, where Companies House is based, and who the illegal entities had been created by through the forgery, that when they dissolve, put their assets back into the Crown. The Crown finances also appear to be managed by Lloyds Bank, and information I have even suggests that the royal families are possibly imposters, and that the real King and Queen were murdered, and that these people were put in place as part of this conspiracy. I researched Robert and Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein and Max Clifford, as well as cases of apparent child abuse and murder, including the Hampstead child abuse inquiry. Okay, we're going to go to part 3.